Exactly. Okay, you guys didn't hear it, but Holly did a play fart just before we started. Okay, anyway, what's up, guys? It's ajmarkle here, and welcome back to If Disney Anime Classics Were Released Today. Number 4. Today is
101 Dalmatians.
Yes, guys, this 60s classic is on the table for one of the darkest animated movies. Why so dark? Well, it doesn't start off dark, but let's explain right at the beginning. This first setting starts with Roger and Pongo. Roger being the musician who is a smoker. Ooh, showcase smoking. I know, that was a settle back then. And Pongo doing the narration. And of course, though, while Roger's doing the piano and trying to figure out his next big hit, which is probably a lot harder than it is today, Pongo's looking for, like, other dogs and
Companions for both of them.
yeah, they're both bachelors. But, and then, of course, there's, like, too big, too small, too fluffy, too hairy. And then he sees the female that we know as Perdita and Anita, the woman who is walking her. However, because Roger doesn't get off for another 30 minutes, Pongo decided to play time extension, or basically daylight savings time going forward, and moves to 30 minutes so we can go to the park.
And then Roger looks at the clock, and Pongo aesthetically just is like, hurry up. Like, we need to go to the park right now, and grabs the leash for Roger to put on Pongo. And next thing, just when Roger is about to take another pipe of his smoke pipe, Pongo just drags him out of the house, looking frantically for them. So
for the next, 2 minutes, Pongo is looking for the Bachelorette, and basically he almost gave up hope when they found them. But rather than get excited and want to meet them, he goes a little posh and just walks right by them. And then they look at the little lake, and then Perdita watches over, and then Pongo, sensing he was being watched, goes, "Am I being watched?" Perdita goes, I'm not seeing him. And then they kind of fast forward a little bit. They kind of got themselves tied up in a situation, and then fall into a lake.
And then they follow each other.
Literally. And of course they kind of laugh at each other because they try to get their own handkerchiefs, and it's all drenching wet like them. And then the narrator has them get married, and then Pongo and Perdita have their own little ceremony.
Which is so adorable, by the way. It's so memorable and so cute.
Yeah, and then we fast forward, and then we find out that Perdita is expecting puppies. Unfortunately, that's when we also hear about our villainess. That's right, Lady Villain, Cruella de Vil. And of course, Roger, always trying to find a musical hit, decides to go, Cruella de Vil. If she doesn't scare you, no evil thing will.
Yes, and then Perdita hides from Cruella as well, but she's very scared because some people don't actually know this, but Cruella's actually an old friend of Anita.
Yeah, that has been shown in the film, but it's been over. I think it's been about almost 50. It's about a little over 50 years, maybe almost 60 since this movie came out. So I don't think everyone's gonna know that right off the bat. So Cruella de Vil didn't just come for a visit, by the by. She was like, "Where are they? Looking for the puppies."
Yes, in other words, why on earth has the female dog not given birth yet? Just let me know when the puppies are born, and I'll take them.
Of course, though, Pongo doesn't like it, and Perdita's scared, which we all understand. And then, one stormy night. Seems like something out of a comedy theater. One stormy night, a night where the puppies are expected to come.
Hmm. And do you know what's ironic? It says that they were born in the middle of October as well, which is my birthday month.
Holly's birthday is October 23rd, but because of time zones, we kind of celebrate on October 22nd for Texas, which, for those that don't know, Holly lives in New Zealand, I live in America. So there is definitely a lot of huge time zone difference. Yeah. So anyway, back to the actual, thing. So while Pongo was waiting along with Roger, who looks like in a daze smoking his pipe, again, the smoking, and almost forgot, Coella smokes too. Just thought I'd let you know that she has this green cigarette smoke that is gross. Ugh, that's not safe for kids.
Yeah, apparently hers isn't really a pipe, but more of, it looks like a green, like very skinny, like long cigarette in a way.
It's like so I almost want to call it a lawn cigarette essentially, because they put the cigarette on there and then they have a lawn stick where they smoke it, but I don't know why they do that. I mean, I don't really see that today, so I don't have an answer for that. If you guys do know, comment down below, and then I'll see about understanding that a little bit. Anyway, so while Roger was in a daze, Pongo licks his hand, and then the puppies came. They were happy and joyful, and it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They went to 15, but then it went to 14.
Unfortunately, one of the puppies died, but somehow Roger was able to revive the pup by, I think it's not massaging, but rubbing the back, similar how when you get a baby to try and burp in a way.
Yeah, so that's puppy, as you will know, will be named Lucky.
Because he's lucky to be alive.
And
also, we've got one character.
Oh,
the nanny.
Oh yes, the nanny. Yeah, she was. I forgot. The nanny also was a very big help. They had to hire her because she basically they kind of needed some help around the house, especially with puppies coming. That is, but as they were about to celebrate the 15 puppies, somehow Coella the stalker. I'm sorry. I find it kind of ironic that she happened to be out the door when the puppies were born.
Oh, for sure. It's like, she's been watching this whole time? That is so creepy.
That's gonna raise the limit. Hey, if you got a crazy person that likes puppies, make sure you lock your doors.
Yeah. And she's like, 15 puppies. Oh, how marvelous. Because they don't have spot.
They're just born. Yeah, they definitely were born without spots when they're first born. It takes like a few weeks for that to fill. And Coella, decided she wanted to pay them. I'll take them all, she says. And then at first, Anita was kind of hesitant because they don't want to give them up. And then Roger, despite being a bit of a stuttering sort of person, stood up to her. And then finally, he put his foot down, and despite getting inked on by Cruella de Vil's anger pen, I guess you might say.
Yes, and basically they were covered in ink spots.
Yeah, which is kind of ironic. Cruella de Vil was upset the puppies didn't have spots, but yet she gave the spots to Roger and more to Pongo. But then Roger stood up to her. She got mad and said she wasn't coming out. He called them maniacs and all that. Roger, like a stick, just stood there, and as she slammed the door, probably breaking it, Pongo barks. I guess if I could translate to you, like, goodbye, don't come back. I guess if they wanted to raise it up a little bit, they probably would have said something else that I'm not going to say.
Yeah, and then as Nanny claims Roger as a hero for standing up to Cruella,
I love Anita.
Pongo goes to see Perdita, and then we have a look at all the little puppies.
15 puppies, and they were watching Thunderbolt, an old TV show, and Canine Crunchies, which is this is before the Scooby snack. There was canine crunchies.
Yes, and we all see the pups have different personalities, such as we have one pup called Wally, like Wally, Bolly, Yowie.
And then there was Patch. He had the like black eye patch, and there was always that one puppy that was always hungry. It was
Yes.
And eventually, though, they all had their food, and they all had to go, and they all had to like go to bed, even though they want to go on a walk with Pongo and Perdita, but they had to go.
Yes, and then
they went on.
Nanny died.
Unfortunately, before that, Roger and Anita took the dogs on a walk to the park, but during this time, two men, Jasper and Horace, were waiting for them to go. And they decide to be salesmen or phone guys, whatever they're called. And to kind of shorten it so you guys don't get the long dialogue, they force themselves in, kidnap the puppies. But they didn't act like they wanted to kidnap the puppies. They just acted like they were thieves, which is a very interesting cover-up. And that's when it led to the panic of the nanny, I guess you might say, and it was all over the news of the 15 puppies being stolen. And everyone and their brother who probably watched the movie at this time immediately knew that Cruella de Vil has to be someone involved in this, because she really wanted those puppies. And since she just said she wouldn't come back, why not send people like Jasper and Horace to do it? So they got the puppies in. And of course, Roger, which we all will back up, believes Cruella de Vil basically kidnapped them in a way by hiring two people to do that.
But then Anita pointed out that Cruella was checked by police in it for evidence, but nothing.
Yeah, I may not remember that, but maybe it's just because Cruella de Vil has more than one house. She's pretty rich, obviously. She worships furs, so it's kind of obvious she has probably another place. So, anyway, Pongo and Perdita decided to work together to do the special bark.
The Twilight Bark.
Thank you, honey. And that's when it became nationwide and it spread out throughout the entire country. It was in London, by the way. That was the country that was in. It was like London, and everyone was like, shut up during the whole barking thing. Yes. And then one guy yells, "Why am I quiet?" And it led all the barking finally led up to a small barn.
Yes, where bloodhound dog and a goose were talking about the message being delivered about 15 stolen puppies, and then the old bloodhound dog, he barked to the farm where we see a horse, a cat, and then later on a sheepdog, I believe.
Yeah, I think his name was Colonel, I think.
Yeah.
And I think the cat was Twitches, I think. What's it called?
No. Tibbs.
It was a T. I apologize, guys. Don't attack me. But Tibbs was there, and I don't know what the horse's name is, but
I think the horse's name is Captain.
Oh, Captain. Yeah, it was. So after a little interesting comedic dialogue where he saw puddles, not puppies, they finally decided to go to the little building not too far from the farm where they saw Cruella de Vil's car drive over there, and they all went there. Tibbs went there, and that's when he discovered the truth. There were 84 puppies, and then they said the one dog said that there was 99 puppies. So,
yes, turns out that the 84 other puppies were bought and paid for, and the other 15 puppies are there with names and collars. So it's implied that the 84 pups might be slightly a bit older because one of them said how about them bunch of little ones, so they might be slightly older a little bit. It's implied, but we're not too certain for sure.
Yeah, but it also leads to a very dark reality, and I'm going to explain a little more, especially this is where the 101 Dalmatians goes dark downhill. When they start throwing the puppies, when they were stealing food, they were threatening them on skinning them. There's alcohol involved in what they're doing, so this is definitely not what you would call friendly. It was a rated G movie back in the 60s, but today, which we will get to the end of the whole video, so stay for the whole thing. You're gonna find out the rating may not be what you expect. So anyway, continue. The puppies ended up for being there, and they decided to work out an escape plan. Tibbs decided to work out an escape for the 99 puppies.
And then Horace and Jasper are watching a TV show, being a bit sidetracked, whereas Horace is eating a sandwich, which comedically Molly grabs a piece of ham out of the sandwich. But then Jasper is drinking alcohol and he smokes a cigarette.
And you wonder why. It's probably not 100% for kids. But anyway, there's another thing I want to point out, though. I mean, even Robin Hood alcohol, but it wasn't as, I guess, not as heavily indulged as 101 Dalmatians.
And also Jasper, when he finds the cat's Tibbs, he literally throws the empty bottle trying to aim for the cat when the cat's trying to escape.
So they had to. So he relayed a message to the Colonel, and the Colonel and Tibbs had to work together to save the puppies. So there was that drama. Cruella de Vil gets mad and tells them she wants the job done tonight because the police were after them, and yada yada yada. Horace and Jasper watch the show, and then they all decide this is the side. All right, you knock out them in the heads. You do the skinning. For those that don't get it, Cruella de Vil wanted to kidnap the puppies because she wanted a whole bunch of them to make a Dalmatians fur coat.
And when she means by hitting them and skinning, it basically means kill them first and then shave their skin off.
Honey, they would cut them, not
Or
shave.
off, what I mean.
So anyway, during this time, Tibbs was getting all the puppies out of there and there was a drama and escape to the house. Meanwhile, Pongo and Perdita decide to go out on their own to find the puppies. They got in communication. They got in communication with the Great Dane, and they uncovered the truth that it was Cruella de Vil after all that ordered the kidnapping of the puppies.
And then they go on and on journey, no matter how cold the weather was, showing that determination. They went through blizzardly winds, they went through icy snow and icy water, and despite them being tired, they didn't give up.
That's what true loving parents would do. And then it was revealed they went to the house and they decided to go to the house. And during that time, Tibbs was in a bit of a jam trying to defend the puppies as Horace and Jasper were basically about to strike him. And then faster than Avengers Assemble, the Pongo and Perdita just smashed right through the glass window with their teeth shown and snarled in anger. And Horace and Jasper were trying to take care of business, and this is this is where they were so stupid. Where Horace raised the club and clubbed Jasper in the head. He goes, "Oh, you!" and just kicks him right in the booty.
Yes, and Colonel watches, and then just when Jasper's about to use a chair on Pongo, Pongo literally leaps on Jasper, and the chair goes through the window, and this is when Colonel's like, "Oh, by George."
Yeah, and to kind of fast forward a little bit, they make their escape, discover that there was 99 puppies, and they reveal they should try to make coats out of us, try to skin them, and that's where Petita calls Cruella de Vil, which...
But before we continue on, I will point out a little detail when Pongo and Perdita jumped through the window. First of all, they would have, or should have, at least, had some little cut, like bits of blood, because of how they went paws first and head second.
Yes, unfortunately, in reality, guys, this is probably the most biggest myth. Break through a glass window, you don't get hurt. You do, because glass is sharp. So, anyway, thank you, Honey Bunny, for pointing that out. They basically had to go on another journey with the puppies. And, of course, Jasper on their tail. They had to escape. And after about a trail of escaping, trying to cover up their tracks and everything... They finally went to a Labrador, who basically was... They say we're going back to London through a moving truck. And this will begin yet another big drama of basically dangerous driving of Cruella de Vil. So, first, however, they had to disguise themselves. And since they all decided to disguise themselves as Labradors. And Horace, who's usually the type of guy who has some common sense... always gets whacked in the head for it. And
oh, you also missed one thing out, babe, sorry. Just to remind a little bit. Before they go to the Labrador, they go to a farm where they see a collie shepherd dog lead them to a farm, and the puppies have warm milk.
They have to do that because that's their first detour right there. But Horace and Jasper show up, so another drama happens. And this is the part where it gets hilarious, where Tibbs was like with the horse captain, and he goes, "Ready, aim, fire 1." Boom!
Fire 2.
Boom! And they both basically got ahead of themselves, crashing right into the door.
It was so hilarious, but could have proved actual injuries. Ouch.
Yeah. Yeah, this was slapstick at its finest there.
Anyway, back to the Labrador. Before the Dalmatians came up with the idea of using coal dust, I believe. Coal.
Soot. Yeah, soot. They they discovered that there is a moving truck that will take them to London. That's where they live, in London, which it's a real city, not a real situation where someone has like 15 puppies or 101 Dalmatians. So if they did, I'd be terrified if I go to England. Hey, is it 1, 2, 3, 4, what? 65.99 carry the 15. Okay.
Yes, and Lucky was like, "Mom, Dad, Patch pushed me in the suit," and they got into a little scuffle, Patch and Lucky, about who pushed them into it, who didn't, who did. And then that's when Pongo got the idea of turning themselves into Labradors by using soot as a disguise.
Yep, and to get even better, it would have worked if it weren't for the melting snow.
Oh no, totally. It's...
And Cruella was a little shocked by how they were so clever, and she yells at Jasper and Horace to go get them, and basically they were charging, and the Labrador basically got them, and they tripped over each other.
And Cruella looks so peeved, as in like, "I'm gonna get you guys next."
Yeah, and then this is where it leads to another dark moment. The puppies were in the truck. They were trying to get away, but Cruella was trying to knock the truck off the road. This is very dangerous, and it is not encouraged, and definitely should not be for kids to watch. No one should ever have to watch a villain try to knock someone off the road in their vehicle. That's very dangerous. And unfortunately, what's even sadder, it's really real. So there is the whole chase. Horace and Jasper were on their own tail in their van. Cruella's had her own car, which kept getting beaten up for her determination. And
This is when she goes full on psycho and
She's obsessed.
oh,
Yeah, she became the Disney villain and basically decided to bump right into the end of the moving truck. And Horace and Jasper were trying to plan their way so they can ram the truck on the side and knock it into the ditch. And just when they were about to do it, Horace unexpectedly pulled the steering column out of the truck, and they lost control. And just when couldn't get any worse for them, BAM! They knocked into the Cruella de Vil's car, and they crashed into the very ditch they tried to crash the moving van into. Cruella de Vil has a mental breakdown, and the next thing you know, she was yelling and screaming, calling you fools, imbeciles, and Jasper, who usually tells Horace to shut up, told her to shut up. It probably should have been his last words. So anyway, after that, it goes back to Christmas. They were alone. Roger was listening to the song Cruella de Vil on the radio, which I guess he wrote himself and now gets royalties from it. I don't know. And then they turned it off, and they were alone about the dogs. Roger couldn't understand how they could have left. And the next thing, the nanny was talking about how she wishes that she could see him and imagines hearing them bark. And literally a nanosecond after she heard a bark, she thought she was just dreaming. Then she heard more barks and ran to the door. And next thing you know, a tsunami of dogs and puppies just ran over. And he goes, "They're a bunch of Labradors." And then the nanny goes, "They're covered in soot." And that's when they revealed the 101 Dalmatians are home. Well, 15 plus 2 plus 17 and 84 is 101 for you math majors.
and this is when it also talks about perhaps the adjustment of moving somewhere further into a country, and that's actually revealed in the sequel 101 Dalmatian 2, Patches London Adventure, where they had to move to a countryside farm in order to provide more room and freedom for the pups.
Yes, and that's when they introduced Dalmatian Plantation, and the barking was never ending in the end. Well, that's 101 Dalmatians, people, and you're going to be a little shocked about this, but this is one of the darker films we've actually ever done. The key details of alcoholism, animal abuse, talks about animal abuse and animal cruelty, and even to the point where a car wreck and I guess you might call it road rage was involved. These are very serious stuff. I'm sorry you guys say this, but this movie would not be PG. It would be PG-13, big time. Because of the animal abuse is a very serious topic, along with the kidnapping, which while kidnapping has been a subject before, this one escalated to animals. So as a result, 101 Dalmatians is PG-13 by our ratings.
Yes, it's one of the most darkest Disney films I've ever seen when I was young, to a point I sometimes got a bit scared of the actual moments itself.
Yeah, the comedy, however, with the Horace and Jasper kind of helped, but it should never have been rated G if it was released today. This is only PG-13 if it was released today because of the actual violence that was put into the actual animation. Which, here's the reality. It doesn't matter to me if it was 2D animated or live action or 3D animated. If there's all these elements in a movie, it would be PG-13. I'm sorry. And you think Disney Star Wars isn't PG-13? They are, all three of them. Just want to point that out. Anyway, 101 Dalmatians is a great animated classic, but it was very dark. It is very dark, and you might want to be careful and get ready for answering some questions from your kiddos if you are a parent watching this. So, anyway, guys, before we end this, I want you guys to try to subscribe to Holly for help her get to 6,000 subscribers. And also, guys, check out the other playlists in a card at the end of the video so you guys can check out the other playlists, which the last episode was Jungle Book, but the previous two were Bambi and Robin Hood. So, and this series has been going off super well. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm signing out for now. God bless you, Rod. Don't forget it.
Be unique and be creative. Have a good day, everyone.